Assalamu alaikum and peace and blessings to you and your family. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of At My Sister's House. I am excited. I'm excited. This is a topic that means a lot to me. And since I walked through the doors of the Nation of Islam, the first door, Muhammad Mosque #1, this caught my attention immediately. So I'm grateful. This was definitely in the content of things we were going to cover this season. So I thank you. Our special guest today that will be helping us to cover this phenomenal topic of how to eat to live and the value of how to eat to live is none other than our sister. Now, I'm going to say she from Mosque #1. However, that's by way of Mosque number 61.
75.
Las Vegas, by way of
45.
Houston, Texas. So a shout out to everybody in Houston, Texas. And this is our sister, my sister, Sister Amira Muhammad. So we welcome you to the show and thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Now, we're going to start. This is, like I said, a very profound topic. And the reason I say it's profound because it's layers. This is something literally we could talk about every day, all year, into years. And that's how to eat to live. Now, I want to start with a quote and use that as our foundation and go from there. So this is from How to Eat to Live, Book 1. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said on page 2, "Hereafter, I shall enforce restriction on my followers to eat as Allah has bid us. As I have said to my followers on many occasions, life cannot be prolonged unless we are careful of what we eat and when we eat." Using that as our foundation, the value, the importance of how to eat to live. How do you see that?
Ma'am, it's of great value and importance. So, because, say for instance, we know that what we eat, what we put in our bodies is a direct, is in direct correlation to our health, right? It can either worsen our health or it can either improve our health.
Right.
So it's a magnitude of importance.
Right.
And just going through How to Eat to Live with our classes, you know what I'm saying, it's definitely been, a lot of people say, oh, I know how to eat to live, I know what we're supposed to be doing. Yeah, we really breaking this down in our class about the different vitamins that add to our nutrient intake every day. Eating that 8-ounce cup of beans a day.
Right.
It's better, it's more iron than a 10-ounce steak.
See? Yeah. And the first thing we think when we think iron or we think protein is meat. So that means, you vegetarian, where you going to get your protein? That's our immediate thought, not knowing there's so many ways. Now, I want to prefix all of this by saying Sister Mira is a vegan pastry chef.
I do vegan pastries, but I'm a savory and pastry chef.
Savory and pastry chef. So we're going to go more into that.
Yes, ma'am.
Because she's also our special guest on In the Spotlight Presents. So we're going to have more details. But you studied this. That's my point.
Yes,
Not just is this something you talking about, but you live this.
Yes, ma'am.
How has How to Eat to Live affected you and your daily activity with the incorporation of the book?
I know exactly what you're saying. So, somebody used to tell me, you know how to cook, but this ain't the message is cooking or something like that, right? A person used to tell me that, and so me learning the white man's cooking and then being an MGT, learning our cuisine, I married the two. I learned why we put onions, carrots, and celery in the bean soup. A lot of people just think we're just adding vegetables, but really that's just that's a mirepoix, and it's a basic soup stock.
Right.
And when we're cooking the beans, we're reducing that, making the vegetable stock for the beans. So that's what the white man teaching taught me. And then I mixed it with what the messenger taught us on how to prepare our food. So now I have like a deeper understanding, which is the difference between a chef and a cook. A chef understands why we do the things. A cook just only applies what he or she is taught.
I didn't know that. That's
Absolutely.
great information. And you know, the first thought that came to my mind is something we're taught in class. Not just are we the doctors, the nurses, and the nutritionists, but we must understand the science of food.
Absolutely.
And that's one aspect that when you see the 7 training units and you see just the simple word cook or cooking, it's not just going in the kitchen and fixing chicken or making rice. It's understanding the science of what you're serving your family, the nutritional value, how to balance that with this so that they're getting the best meal possible. And all of that we were taught in How to Eat to Live.
A balanced meal and portion control. It's a certain amount of ounces of vegetable, the starch, protein you're supposed to have on each plate.
Right.
For a balanced meal, a balanced vitamin intake.
Right.
A lot of us, we load up our plates with starch and no vegetable, thinking that's a balanced meal. No, and then you wonder why you're sitting on the toilet for like 25 minutes.
Right, right.
It ain't coming out.
Right.
You didn't thicken that thing right on up.
Right.
And so it's important.
Right.
You know?
The balance of it all.
The balance of it all.
I always say that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he gave us the knowledge. And he's making us do the study of the knowledge. So he'll say, do not eat kale. You go study why. And now kale has went from where we were taught, do not eat kale. Now they've made it a superfood.
Oh, yeah.
And make it sound like if you have kale in your diet, but then as soon as they tell you eat kale, then you'll turn around a year later, they tell you, oh, you shouldn't eat kale. When I grew up, kale was the decoration on the food bar.
It was.
Now all of a sudden it's the superfood.
Yeah.
But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was very clear, do not eat kale.
Nice. So what do you say about people who juice it?
Right. Right.
People who drink coconut water. When he says do not eat coconuts, what do you think about that?
Right. So it's the looking at the science behind what he is saying, not just saying, oh, he said don't eat it, don't eat it. The Minister Farrakhan said there's no such thing as an ignorant woman.
Exactly.
So we have to, especially being the cooks in our home, we have to get in there and study. And the one that is always, when I first read, do not eat soy. Now, as a vegetarian, soy is in everything. I mean, it's soy-based everything. I mean, it's in almost everything anyway, but specifically when you're starting to get a vegetarian buy those products. Absolutely. You will see a lot. And all the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said was, do not eat soy. Do not eat it. Once I got to studying it, and seeing the ill effects of it to the body, how it has a lot of connections to cancers. It's not broke down into the body. I understood. Again, he made a statement. I do the study now to understand the statement. Yes, ma'am. Would you agree? Yes, ma'am. So from the study of How to Eat to Live, what have been some of the benefits that you have seen?
Well, I know when I am my most top discipline, right? When I am only consuming, and I'm currently on that now, literally just having my coffee in the morning, drinking my water, and that's it, just like the minister said. Right. And then I consume my dinner, you know, between the hours of 4 and 6. Now, sometimes it's 3 and 4, but it not past 7, depends on, because my work schedule is kind of hectic. Right. But I normally eat that one meal, I get full, and that's it. Right. And then every day, like just every day this week, like I can eat, I can't consume that much. Right. It gets less, and like I'm full, you know. Because the less I eat, the smaller my stomach becomes, the longer I live. There's no such thing as a stomach implant or replacement. Right. Who you know they got a stomach a stomach transplant? Who you know? You know what I'm saying? So, once you wear that out, you wear that out. Right, right. So now we know you made a point about prolonging our lives, and you connected that to the one meal a day. Yes, ma'am. For those who don't know,
what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has taught on that. You want to explain why is that 1 meal a day prolonging your life?
Well, you live one day at a time. You eat 1 meal a day. Literally, it's mathematics, really. Why would I eat 3 meals a day when I only live 1 day at a time?
Right.
And you overwork your stomach. You give your stomach a chance to rest. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, like, also, by only eating 1 day at a time, you also have a healthy digestive system.
Right.
It breaks down properly within your body, and all the vitamins get a chance to circulate and get to the places they need to get, instead of overworking your body, and you cause blockages throughout your body. And I forgot the name of that. I was just studying that. It's like you literally cause these inflammations throughout your body where your nutrients can't travel and get through where it needs to go properly and timely.
And that's from the overeating.
Yeah, that's from overeating, eating more than 1 meal a day, where they have to go in with these tools and take the inflammation out to get things to flow properly throughout your body.
So our body's only digesting 1 meal every 24 hours.
Yes.
So by eating a breakfast, eating lunch, eating dinner, eating all the snacks in between, your body don't have time within 24 hours to digest everything.
No, it does not.
So hence what you're saying, the blockage, the poison, the toxins that sit up, and then we end up wondering where the gut come from.
Yes, ma'am.
Exactly. Okay. Now, going into using that as our foundation, talking about the science of food, where is the benefit to the everyday man? Because a lot of us everybody watching is not in the practice and study of. So for the everyday man who may not be aware, where is the benefit from the science of 1 meal a day, 1 meal every 48 hours? How does it benefit the everyday?
Well, say for instance, the one thing that just stuck on my mind, and I don't think you said 72, but the one thing that kind of motivated me to do the 3-day fast was that you reset your body all over again on a cellular level.
Yes.
To the point to where, like, say for instance, for me, I have like scars, like from when I burnt myself on the line and stuff like that with grease or whatever. My scars even got lighter. And it shocked me.
Right.
I was like, oh my God, the messenger really is telling the truth. Your body did reset on the cellular level.
Right.
You get your youth back. You start looking gorgeous again. Your skin starts shining. All of that. Your hair becomes more healthy. And by the time you're 60, you still look 40.
Exactly.
So it's a really good rejuvenating process by eating once every 48, once every 72 when you get there. But the one thing about that the master also said is that you start off with, if you're eating 3 meals, start doing 2.
Yes.
Then go to 1. What you don't want to do is get to 72 and revert back to eating 3 meals so you make yourself sick like that.
Right.
So it's definitely a lifestyle, and it's a discipline. You have to really discipline yourself to practice that.
Now, key word you just said, lifestyle. So I think you already know where I'm about to go. Nowadays, we have the intermittent fasting. So this has become the new fad. I'm on my 1 meal a day right now. And they're doing it for a period of time. I saw there's apps now that you can download to remind you of your 1 meal a day. But they're doing it as a fad or to lose weight, or if you want to get into that dress for the new year, do your 1 meal a day. Whereas when you said lifestyle, I'm not hearing fad. Difference between the intermittent fasting and the lifestyle that we're speaking of.
Okay, so the difference is that we do this like for life. It's something we continually strive to practice like every day.
Right.
Every day. Right. We don't stop. Okay, good. I'm good in 30 days. Let me take a break. I'll go back next week. No.
Exactly.
Because like say for instance, if you continually eat the 1 meal a day and the right things for your 1 meal a day, you will dramatically see the change in yourself. It don't take long. That's the thing about this. And so like what the messenger said can be proven.
Yes, ma'am.
This is not nothing like well, show me, like the minister always say, show me where I lied. You know what I'm saying? And I apologize. Can't nobody show him.
Right.
Just
exactly.
like the messenger did not lie.
Yeah.
What he said is what it is. And you can put twists and spins on it all you want to. He is the father of all the intermittent fasting.
Right. Exactly.
They just took and put some cut on it.
That's it. That's it. I like that.
Yes, ma'am.
And I love that you brought up, this is our lifestyle. Because we're not trying to fit in a dress.
No.
We're not trying to get into that good suit.
We want long life.
We want long life. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad promised us prolonged life.
Yes, he did.
And the Bible even says that he came to give us life more abundantly.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, it starts there. Now, I want to bring this point up. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, try it. Try eating the one meal. And if you have a problem with it, I'm paraphrasing, write me about it. Because then I'm going to ask you, how was you thinking? So let's look at the thinking aspect.
It goes
with the
together.
diet aspect.
It goes together.
How?
Because the mind and the body works together.
Yes.
The mind leads the body. It's
Right.
the head first.
Right.
And so when you're thinking wrong up here, no matter what you put in your body here, it's not going to align right. It's not going to balance. So
Right.
that's important to lose weight.
Yes.
To lose weight and to be healthier.
Exactly. And I think about all the time when you hear words like comfort foods. And that's usually the ice cream.
Eat
the
my
fat.
feelings.
I'm eating my feelings. And even when you look at a lot of black television, black movies, everything is done at that dinner table. And it's with the worst of foods, a ham or ribs or some of the most, the worst, the slave
Double
food.
cheeseburgers with baking slathered all over it.
And it's like we've gotten comfortable with eating poorly.
Yes,
that
ma'am.
when you start eating right, it's like, what's wrong with you? Why are you eating like that? You know you're going to starve. We look for every negative connotation to go with proper eating, but we accept eating like slaves still when we don't have to anymore. Have you seen in your practice, your study, your discipline, for even yourself, where sometimes it's those craving, those moments where you're like, okay, this is an emotional thing. This is not.
Yeah. So let me tell you, like, okay, so specifically, right? McDonald's French fries.
Right. Right.
McDonald's food, period. Why all of a sudden you crave French fries from McDonald's?
Exactly.
Mexican pizza from Taco Bell.
Exactly.
All those things are addictive chemicals that they use inside the food. So your body is calling for it like you're going through withdrawals. And it's hard to say no sometimes. Like, it's 10 o'clock, I want some ice cream.
Right.
Your body calling for it. So it's literally mind over matter when it comes to that point.
Yeah.
You have to really be strong. It's like a drug addiction. Sugar, same thing. It's all addictions.
If we knew how bad sugar was, we would run away from it like the devil.
Yes, ma'am.
But like you said, it becomes addictive.
Yeah.
And we don't even realize how much we're drawn to this addictive pattern.
Yes, ma'am.
Whether it's emotional or mental, physical. Now, when going into the discipline of like what you're doing now, you're eating your one meal a day.
Yes, ma'am.
What were some of the hardest parts of fighting that?
Well, women go through different phases as they get up in age. And some of those phases, causes different hormonal aspects in one's body where your body start calling for different stuff.
Right.
And you could be eating one meal a day and, when a woman, and when she hits 45, 46, her body starts going through a hormonal shock is what I'm going to call it. Well, she's gaining weight, but she's eating one meal a day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Hormones in a person's body is important.
Wow.
And we tend to feed those hormones instead of giving our body things that dispel the hormones calling out for different things, to feed itself. That's the only way I could think to explain it.
Right.
Because I'm not speaking blindly.
Right.
I myself are having to overcome a lot, especially when you're married.
Right.
You're like, I'll say this, I'm not eating it. I ate already.
Right.
But this is when you get back. No, I'm not eating nothing when I get back. What are you talking about? I'll be drinking that water that's in the refrigerator.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm combating a lot of stuff.
Right.
I have to tell myself, no.
It's and one of the beautiful things though is when you can get a partner who's on the same page. My husband and I have had to say, we got off our discipline. And I'm going to tell you what we were doing. We were getting ready for the lecture, Sunday lecture, and playing the FOI MGT graduation video. And the minister at the end comes back on the stage after beautifully teaching and said, oh, I forgot. Can I say one more thing, brother? I'm sorry. Let me say one more thing. And he says, 1 meal a day is the law now.
I remember.
And he and I looked at each other and was like, okay, we have to help each other stay in accordance to the law. We have to. So now we're each other's reminder. And
what does that mean, though, when he said that?
Please, let's go.
My husband had a conversation.
Come on, let's
on that.
go.
What does he mean? Like, oh, sister, I saw you eating. That's 2 meals. You got 90 days.
Right.
That ain't what that means.
Right.
Yes,
but you know, here's the other part. When that's a law that when you violate it, it affects you.
It does.
And it speeds up. You take away the benefit of the long life.
I take my own record.
Yes. Yes.
I'm recording my own record.
Yes. and you know how the minister talks about that voice within?
Yes, ma'am.
That voice within awakens when you know you off point. Like, you really should be eating that.
Yes, ma'am.
Really should you have got that?
No.
And that's the blessing of awakening that spirit. And that's the value of reading both books.
Yes, ma'am.
Because the more we read, the more we understand. And you made a point talking about the proper foods. Let's talk about proper foods. Because sometimes I don't know if we realize we're not eating proper foods. Like you said, a plate of French fries technically is a vegetarian dish.
Technically.
Yeah. Technically, you're not eating any meat.
Nope.
And if you ate it between 4 to 6, technically you just ate your 1 meal.
You're consuming all starch.
All starch. So when we say proper foods, what are proper foods?
Okay, say for instance, I've been doing like substitutions, right? Like I tried to get my family with the mashed cauliflower. They're not having it.
Okay.
They want the whip,
over.
the thick Irish mashed potatoes.
Right.
Like, I can't. Well, look, y'all have this. I'll just steam me some cauliflower.
Right.
I mean, I'm lessening the starch. Instead of the spaghetti noodles, going like zucchini noodles.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, it's not to say you can't, but if you're overweight, you're not supposed to have that. You're not supposed to eat pasta really at all.
Right.
Or the potatoes, and then lay off all the heavy breads. You know, like literally when you're overweight. Not to say that when you weighing yourself,
right,
that you not supposed to. I mean, you can, but even then, you're not supposed to do it that much.
Right.
Not if you want to live a long life.
Exactly.
So,
and that's the key.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes with How to Eat to Live, people looking at it as a cookbook. It's not a cookbook. Although the Honorable Elijah Muhammad lay out the best of foods. He tell us about cauliflower and cabbage. And he tell us what kind of fish or chicken, eating squab.
Right.
He tells us all of this. But the key is that 1 meal a day.
Right.
That 1 meal every
at the proper time.
40 at the proper time. And cooked in the best manner.
Absolutely. So, little tidbit, because I love butter. I'm just going to put it out there. If all I had was bread and butter on an island, I wouldn't need anything else. I promise. I love it. I would be fine. I'd be like, what's wrong with y'all? But I have, like, say, if you do steamed broccoli, instead of putting a little pad of butter on there, you squeeze a little lemon and sea salt. Yeah. And it literally tastes the same.
Right. Right.
And that helps me lower my cholesterol.
Yes.
Because of my butter love.
Yes.
A little tidbit of like just healthy eating, just transforming all that stuff over.
So now hypertension, diabetes, these are things that plague the Black community. And once we get them, you hear medications involved now. And people think, I have to take this for life. This is it forever. What do you say to that?
You don't have to.
Right.
Like, for one, the master came to throw away all our medicines out of the cabinet.
Yes.
Okay? Now, I'm not saying go home. I act like the minister right now. Right. I ain't saying go home and take all your medications out of the cabinet. That's not what I'm saying. But to each his own. You do what you feel you have to do.
Right.
But I know for me, because I did struggle with hypertension. Wasn't because of food. It was because of the stressful environment that I undergo many years.
Right.
So that just turned into like, oh dang, that's too much salt. Now it's like it all started tying for me.
Right.
So literally, when I feel like when my hypertension is rose or whatever, I have to take salt completely out my diet. Like I have to eat bland food, like a hospital patient. To get it back down. Right. But I'm working on that now. Like I'll take a little pink Himalayan, because that's what I switched to pink Himalayan sea salt. And I'll put just a little bit, and that's it.
That's all that's needed.
That's literally it. And so hypertension directly correlates with what I found out, diabetes. And I don't know how it matches yet. I'm still researching that. That was told to me. I was like, wow. So now I have to watch my glucose, because I bake and I cook all these different things, and then I'm tasting at the same time. Ramadan for me is not happy when it first starts off, because if I'm cooking, it's harder for me. I have to taste and discard, and wash my mouth out with water.
Yeah. And what you're saying, key, that Master Farad Muhammad, when he came, they emptied out the cabinets.
Yes.
But they replaced it by having better diet.
Yes.
So anyone, and that's something I know with my husband, we're helping him fight his high blood pressure through the diet.
No salt.
And eliminating, and getting it back under control.
Yeah. Lots of water.
Lots of water.
No juice. No soda. Barely coffee, because caffeine can raise your blood pressure as well.
Wow.
Absolutely. So that 1 cup for me is all I can have.
Right.
I can't drink coffee all day long like some people. I can't.
And which we were taught to be careful doing that anyway.
Yeah.
It's not to be a substitute for a meal.
No, it's not.
So now, with the minister putting us back on 1 meal a day, with us, again, you brought up Ramadan is around the corner, which is, for me, such an excellent time to get my discipline.
Yes.
So when I first joined the nation, in December we were doing Ramadan, and we didn't have fish. We didn't do any land animals.
No land animals.
And that's when I started being vegetarian.
Yes.
So it was that first year because of that discipline, and that to me was so key in our making the how to eat to live the law. It's the discipline.
Yes, ma'am.
Because at a point we have to just say enough is enough.
Yes, ma'am.
And to eat right. So with Ramadan coming, what is words of advice because it's really our how to eat to live overall.
You're taking my mind somewhere else when you're saying that, because it's not enough to be like, oh, we got to get back on our discipline. The minister put us back on. Because if that's the case, the minister told us to do a lot of things, and we'd be 100% on point.
Yes, ma'am.
And we're not. You know why? Because we're human.
Right.
Because we have emotions. Because we need a balance. Because we struggle with our will. All the study guides, all of that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so your lifestyle, who you're around every day, how you live, how you make a living, all plays into how you eat. Right. It's hard to be stressed out and eat right and be disciplined, because your body is creating. I forgot the name of it. I'm so not a doctor, but your body is creating something, and somebody out there knows where it's calling for these things because you stress. So here we go. Your body's trying to relieve the stress and call for these certain things, and you wonder, like, why am I craving corn? What's in corn that your body is craving? You know what I'm saying? Why am I craving steak? How low is my iron? You know what I'm saying? And so everything you're thinking, your environment that you're around, your job that you work in, how it's making you feel plays into how disciplined you can be in eating.
So how do you introduce the discipline of how to eat to live in lieu of a stressful environment? How do you do it?
For me, I can't speak for anybody else. I relieve my stress.
Okay.
I have to find what's affecting me, and I have to switch it out, change it up, or let it go altogether to push me through where I need to be. That's me. Right.
What methods, what ways, what's a good stress reliever for you?
I mean, for the most part, if I'm not going to die, I let go.
Right.
I let go. It was like, you know what? That don't bother me. Go right ahead. I'm not finna pick my battle. You know what I mean?
So that song came to mind when all the TikTokers was doing the I ain't stressing today. Hey, I ain't stressing today. And I think that's something for me that's come with age.
Yes, ma'am.
As I've gotten older,
I agree.
I've been able to say, that one, I can pick my battles now.
You fine.
I'm fine. And that to me ties back to the mental part. So when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, what are you thinking? And you know, and I'm going to dip into this subject just for a moment to add to that. When we say that prayer 7 times a day.
Yes, ma'am.
That refuge prayer helps me along with everything I strive to do.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you all could smell, if there was smell-o-vision, you could smell the navy beans cooking in my house.
Some cumin.
And you got some cumin, there's some garlic, there's some turmeric.
Smells good.
But that was back to my point. My husband and I looking at each other like, how are we doing? And I made a quick short video the other day where I said self-care can be defined so many ways.
Yeah.
But one way is going to the doctor.
Right.
So I went to get my annual physical and they mentioned my iron is low. And it wasn't real low, but it was lower than what she wanted.
Right.
What concerned me is, or where I beat myself up, I know better.
Yes.
Not just do I know better, I know how to conquer that. But I haven't been on my discipline, so hence it reflected in my iron. So I asked her, I said, listen, give me 45 days. I know how to fix this problem. So I had to come home, soak those beans.
That's
I had to
right.
start taking stuff out. Now I have children here, so you might see other stuff for other people. But me and my husband, I had to get us back on point.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we had lost our discipline. So when you talk about the discipline and restricting ourselves from stress, I get it. I get it. I'll tell you another thing to help. That cooking class. When I'm in that class with my sisters and we breaking down the science of food, then I can come back and say, okay, I need to add a little turmeric, a little.
Yes.
That part.
Yes.
That part. So for you.
The bean soup is a superfood.
It's a superfood.
Okay.
So let's talk about the navy bean. Because I don't know how we have not talked about it, talking about how to eat to live. Talk about the benefits of the navy bean.
Oh my God! Like
how long is the show?
Just like I know, right? But just starting off, just where we ended, just like we said, or whatever. About your iron, all you need is 8 ounces of navy beans a day.
Yes, ma'am.
8 ounces is just 1 cup. It's not a lot, and you can consume it however you're going to consume it. Make navy bean tacos, maybe enchiladas. You can just saute the navy beans. I've made a navy bean cassoulet before.
Wow!
Awesome. Awesome.
I put it in my smoothies.
Yes, ma'am.
And I had it at dinner. So
and then people do it in smoothies too. Now, look, just a little hint though. When you do the navy bean cassoulet, cost for white wine. All you need is the Jewish wine, which is made of grapes.
Okay.
Jewish Passover cooking wine, and it's made of just grapes. That's all it is.
So now, with the navy bean, we know it's packed with iron. The basically 34 of the nutrients that your body needs every day. So let's go from here. What are some of the benefits of the navy bean?
Well, besides all the vitamins that's listed in there, or whatever, iron is the number one, along with vitamin K, calcium, the sodium that your body needs, not some table salt.
Right.
That's like natural sodium that you can consume that's not going to make your hypertension spin out of control. And
the Honorable Elijah Muhammad stressed the navy bean.
Yes, ma'am.
With navy bean, whole wheat toast, and a glass of milk. He said you got a full meal right there.
Yeah. Men don't seem to think so, but to me, you're right. That's a meal to me.
That's
some whole wheat bread, a bowl of bean soup, and some whole milk. Right. I'm good.
And especially the way properly cooked.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I've seen some people get creative with their bean soups. But when
chili powder
and doing a little bit of everything. But when it's properly cooked, as we have been taught, everything your family need is in that one pot.
Yes, ma'am.
And that helps to add to years to our lives.
Yes, ma'am.
I am forever grateful.
If that's all you had, that's all you would need.
Yes. Yes, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. So before we wrap up, before we conclude, looking at the science of food, looking at the benefits of how to eat to live, what would be if you had to give a message to anyone listening, whether they're in the Nation of Islam or out, what would be the takeaway when you speak of How to Eat to Live, book 1 and 2?
The takeaway I would say is if you have How to Eat to Live, book 1 and 2, you don't really need a doctor.
Right.
That's all you need right there. That's your own doctrine. Right there.
Excellent.
That's what I would say.
I think that's powerful by itself. So with that said, I thank you, Sister Amira. And what I hope the takeaway from is getting How to Eat to Live, book 1 and 2. We'll have the website, store.finalcall.com, where you can order your copy, study it. Don't just use the book and read it and put it on the bookshelf. Study it. Make it a part of your everyday. Let's eat to live. Let's prolong our lives and our family lives. With that said, thank you so much for watching another episode of At My Sister's House. Assalamu alaikum.